Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Day in the Life of a Trader. I'm here with Sasha and really pleased to have you today as a speaker on the webinar. Could you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Sasha Baljak. I'm a maritime professional, LNG based for last 15 years, with some exposure in the office side at a big oil major and working in their trading department.
Understood. So, I mean, we discussed this, and what I really like in your experience is the fact that you have experience in a trading company, in a very large trading company such as Totsa, and also aboard a ship. Can you take us through a little bit of not the differences, but about your experience?
Well, the experience is very different. When I was preparing myself for professional career for life, I was kind of hoping to get one day into a position like that with Totsa. But primarily, I was preparing myself to start a sailing career and living on board, especially on board cargo ships, is very different than just working in office. So it's living on board is 24-hour commitment. It's never-ending, basically responsibility. You don't get to go home after the working hours, and people on board ships, all of us, we take care of that vessel and its cargo um, every moment that we are awake. Basically, it's a very highly responsible job. It's a complex job, very layered, challenging. Uh, we are working in very different environments from week to week. We are visiting, calling ports in different countries, and the cargoes are different depending on where you are loading, where you're discharging, what's your travel time between the ports, and so on. So it's I could go on and on, but we don't have that much time. Whereas in office, you're more concerned about the profit at the end of the day. Safety is always concerned in on both sides, but profit is what it's all about. Office is stressful. Um, It's hectic as well, can be, but it's more streamlined. You have your line of responsibility and you just take care of that, basically. I mean, at least at the lower levels. Management levels, something else. But at the lower levels, you just take care of your job and, of course, you cooperate with your colleagues. But it's different at the end of the day because you can go home at the end of the day to your families and you say goodbye to your coworkers and you don't see them till next day. So it's different, yeah, different experience. But I believe it's very valuable to have uh, sailing exposure and working as a part then in trading office because just understanding of entire world is of the world of shipping is far better.
That's right. I mean, it's very rare to meet a person like you who has both experiences, as much, in the office, surrounded by the traders, doing the operational work, and on the
Mhm.
ships. Can you tell us a little bit about your last trip, or your future trip, like where you're going, where you went from to where, etc., how it worked, how many people on board, what about the shifts, etc. And then after this, I'll ask you the same questions, but in the office.
Okay, so my last trip was actually one of the most difficult ones I had in my career, my sailing career. We had a lot of things to do. We had a lot of inspections. It came all at once, I have to say, during those 3 months. And we did the first refit uh, of of the vessel at that company at all because they are fairly new to the LNG business. We did that in Shanghai in Hudong Yard, and all that was very challenging because for the yard as well was even though they are shipbuilding yard, but the refit is very different than the shipbuilding. So it was first for them, first for us, and also for the office was the first one for the owner. So everything was, there was a lot of work around that. And the cargo schedule was also, I will not say problematic, but it was a little bit peculiar. In last years, in this LNG business, we become more of a bunker ship or bunker ships. There is discharge a bit here, a bit there, load tank here, load tank there, discharge two tanks here, so on. It wasn't like that 15 years back. It's load full ship, discharge full ship, end of the story. So it has been challenging lately, and the ship has around 30 people. It's a 300-meter vessel. Uh, it has a lot of systems, cargo systems, engines. It's complex. The people that are on board are highly skilled professionals and knowledgeable, hardworking people, and that separate themselves from their families for 3 months and try to basically earn for a living. And when it comes to the office, just to jump to your next question, it's more people, and it's the office is not rolling and pitching. You don't care what is the weather outside, as long as you have your umbrella. And but the work in office is producing different kind of challenges because you're trying to manage ships without actually being on a ship. So you're trying to give instructions and ask for results, but also you need to understand at the same time that people on ships, they have their own restrictions, that the crew have their own restrictions, that the countries they're going to have their different restrictions, and all kinds of, there is so many things which is therewith connected with the ship coming, calling a port, that we from office or that the office people are trying to get as soon as possible in and out in a safe manner, and that everything is clear and clean. Uh, but that takes a lot of cooperation, work. I wouldn't say it's easier to work in office. I would say just there are different challenges and different kind of working culture, working behavior. So yeah, we on ship after 3 months, when you're with somebody, spending time 24 hours a day, you with some of the people that I sail with, I spent more time than with some of my friends, um, who are lifelong friends. Yeah, so different kind of relationships. And in office, you have your, I will not say friends, but colleagues. You don't develop that kind of, with most of them, you don't develop that kind of connection. Work-wise, as I said, different challenges, but it's what is different actually. The biggest part is that you need to track more vessels at once. When you're on ship, you track your own and you don't care about the others. In the office, you need to track more vessels, what they are doing, how they are performing, what is the next for them. Is there any invoices to be taken care of? Are there any contractual obligations to be taken care of? Is there any reviews coming? Is any of them having some maintenance coming up, which will affect their scheduling, their speed? Then the entire chain moves. So you have terminals, cargo slots, everything which needs to be adjusted if something like that happens. So as I said, very different lives. It's very nice to have experience in both. It's far better understanding, not only coming to office from ship, but also vice versa. Because on ship, very often you have very limited flow information. You basically are given information on need to know basis. That's one huge thing. And in office, you have scope of info. You are basically in the pool of information. You know what is going to happen in most of the cases. On ship, you're just trying to do your best and hope that the news that are coming or info that is coming from the charters, from the terminals, are going to be aligned with what you have prepared for. That's it.
Really interesting. Actually, could you tell me a little bit about your day-to-day work? So again, I'd like to do a parallel between on the ship, so you arrive on the first day, etc., and what it looks like, and then I'll ask you the same question whilst operations team.
Uh, yeah, sure. Ship from the morning, depending on your role, my own as chief mate, I will give out the the jobs to the crew that was planned a day in advance. Explain the safety points depending on the scope of the work that we have. If it's just a day in which we will carry out maintenance on ship and just normal routine jobs, or we have some more complex operations like tank inspections, like some working aloft. On ships, we do very complex jobs like working aloft or working overside, where a human being is posted 50 meters above sea level doing some maintenance, and he's tied up with ropes and harnesses and so on. But still, it's that doesn't happen in office, fortunately. But as I said, we have highly skilled professionals on board that are very acquainted with those kind of scenarios and environment. So it's not that big of a deal, actually. You just need to take care of the things and procedures properly. So after I give out the jobs for the day, we will normally also go through the emails, check the info, check what is happening, depending on the schedule, how far away are we from the terminal, what is the next business? Is it bunkering? Is it crew change? Is it storing provisions, food coming on board, and so on? We plan for that because we need to basically, you can imagine a ship as an organism that you need to keep alive with all its systems and people on board, ranging from the messman, the steward, up to the master position. So all of our jobs require kind of attention. But all that needs to be aligned with the needs of the ship from the business side. So the charter, the loading, discharging, and so on, whatever is there. Or refit, as in my case, last contract. So the day goes on. We or I supervise the jobs. If they are more complex, we go around, see what people are doing, taking care of safety procedures strictly being adhered to. We conclude the day normally with a meeting, with a safety meeting. That's called daily work plan meeting. That is in 99% of the companies, LNG companies. This is the normal procedure where we discuss what has been done throughout the day, what is being planned for tomorrow, and we will discuss risk assessments if there is any permits, work permits that need to be issued, and so on. Also, there is cooperation between departments, between the deck department and engine, because very often we get into the situation where we need to cooperate on a certain job. For example, we go for a inspection of an enclosed space. They need to, for example, isolate, electrically isolate, or physically isolate pumps, electricity, whatever is there, pipes, uh, doesn't matter. So if there is a job that requires interdepartmental cooperation, then we do that as well. And then we conclude the day with dinner and some socializing, and that's it. In the office, on the other hand, you wake up in your own bed and you take trip to office. You meet people beforehand. You have a cup of coffee. You have a nice chat, and you sit down behind your computer within your respective department. You check your emails and you see what is to be done today. You check your schedule, what your ships are doing, what they need to do. You cooperate within your team, and then it can be on weekly basis, on monthly basis. You will talk to the ship owners. You will have meetings within your own group regarding something which is coming up, something which should be improved, and so on. So basically, that is how the day in office looks like. You track what you need to do. you plan what needs to be done. And I believe that's the case in most jobs in office. We just handle different things. We handle ships and uh, the terminals and so on.
And with regards to the ships you were handling at Totsa, what kind of ships were you looking after? And what are the main differences in when taking care of different ships or shipments?
Well, I'm strictly tied to LNG. TOTS, of course, does more. As you know, they do LNG, they do oil, they do a lot of things. I'm LNG professional, and I was doing LNG ships at TOTS as well. Um, difference in handling different ships. Principally, all ships float if everything is okay. So that's one thing which is similar. They all have power thrust. They have engines which need to operate. But then when it comes to cargo, it's very different. LNG ships, in 90% of cases, use as their fuel NG, the vapor which evaporates from tanks, because the LNG in cargo tanks is kept at the boiling temperature of methane, which is minus 160 degrees Celsius. And everything that evaporates from tanks, as I say, in most cases, we take it with cargo systems and deliver it to the engines for use of that as a fuel. Yeah, which is actually very good because we can power ourselves up to the point. There are ships in LNG world which are real X ships like Humaxes and Flexes, which use only fuel oil. But this is also being changed. In the last 15 years, 20 years, a lot of technology has been improved in the industry. When it comes to oil tankers, for example, that I don't have any practical knowledge of, but I do have theoretical knowledge. They don't use that kind. Well, lately, in the last 5 years, also uh, the engines are being modified and they are being fitted with LNG, small LNG tanks on the deck. And then their engines also use LNG as it's a cleaner fuel than it is heavy fuel oil or the diesel and so on. It's a big difference in cargo. Whereas on, for example, oil tankers, you want to keep your cargo warm uh, because of the viscosity and everything else. On LNG, you want to keep your cargo very, very cold to reduce the pressure in tanks because the pressure in tanks and LNG ships, we have very small margin, and we need to control that very precisely. Whereas on crude oil carriers, they want to keep their cargo warm. So it's different philosophy, it's different trading technique, it's different markets and so on. That's basically it. That it goes on to the chemical carriers and so on. It gets more complicated, more dangerous, but I would just stick to the things that I know.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. What other skills needed, do you think, in operations?
Well, if we are talking skills needed to be employed on ships, you need to be very, very good in handling pressure and stress. And you need to be able to manage people whilst being pressured and stressed. Um, in order to do that, you need to have good organizational skills and you need to be well prepared in advance and you need to anticipate. That's very important. It comes with experience, but also theoretical knowledge is important in some areas. It can happen. You're coming to a terminal with a ship and there's a lot of things happening at once. And you just need to be able not to fall under that pressure. So if you planned well, if you visualized everything which is going to happen and you're thinking about it, you go to your schedule. Okay, at that time, approximately we are coming. At that time, this should be done. My tanks should be cold or my pipes should be cold or we should be ready in such and such a way. These people have been working from this hour to this hour. New people are coming in. I need to make sure that they know what they need to do. Then uh, you have part from the terminal which is coming, so they need to do their part. There is agencies, there is mooring operations, there is a lot of things which need to be synchronized. Also, sometimes we need to be at the two places at the same time. And in order for that to happen, yeah, it's true. And as I say, you need to have, it's very important to have people that are trained, that you trust, and that are ready to step in whenever that is required. So that's, in my opinion, most important um, thing for to be safe operating individual on board ship.
Got it.
Yeah, somehow. There is a lot of other skills that goes with. You need to be able to handle pressure which is coming from home because you cannot affect that. You cannot help that. You have your family calling somebody sick, somebody died, somebody's getting married, somebody's whatever. All this is happening. You're not part of that. You're getting the info, but at the same time, you need to do your job because there is nobody else who can do it for you. You have limited amount of people. There is not like you can go out the street and get a new person in a day or two. You're not going to see help in 3 months or 1 month or 2 weeks or something like that. When it comes to office, uh, it is same thing or very similar. Organizational skills are crucial. You need to have your priorities lined up uh, in a very efficient manner. There is a lot of cooperation and a lot of demand from different sides, but as I said, you always have to have your prioritize and plan set up in advance. But also the ability to be flexible, to put in extra hours that you might not count on when you are taking the job. But that's it. Yeah. I would say that that skill for me, in my opinion, organizational skills and working under pressure, the ability not to work under pressure, but to handle pressure in the way that it will not stress you out, that it will not make you collapse. That's a skill to master, I would say.
Thank you very much. I really love the way you said how you visualize your day as well to be able to handle pressure and handle situations. I think this is really useful to think about scenarios as well. And yeah, the fact of prioritizing and being flexible. And I know that like in operations, putting in the extra hours is important because never know what can happen at any time. But
Yeah,
thank you so
that's
much.
true. Yeah. Thank you for
Thank you
this.
very much. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
It was so interesting to have you speak about the two. I mean, the two positions seem quite similar in some way because you're handling ships, and yet I know that, like, in terms of life, it's completely different. But this was extremely interesting. Thank you so much, Sasha, and
Thank you for the opportunity to speak about it.
speak to you soon. Bye bye. Take care.
Bye bye.